What is going on, guys? I'm your LS of This Week in MLS, and welcome to episode 5 of the This Week in MLS show. So if you don't know me very well, or if you do know me, I'm Jewish, and I'm very Jewish. I grew up in a Reformed Jewish household, and the holidays mean a lot to me, and it's a big one this weekend. Passover, Pesach, whatever you want to call it. So we have our Passover edition of the show. I got Mark Fishkin here from the Seeing Red podcast, and later on I'll have Jewish athlete Daniel Steres of the LA Galaxy. Mark, though, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. Happy Passover. Really excited to talk MLS and Passover.
And I just want to know, have you done anything kind of Jewish related with your podcast in the past?
That's a really good question. We have a Jewish co-host now. We've had some Goyish podcast co-hosts in the past. Nothing Jewish per se, although we've got Shep Messing, the OG Jew of American soccer. He's been on tons of times. So I think we take it back to OG NASL style with Shep.
So on to the soccer stuff. First, I got to ask, do you have a favorite Jewish soccer player ever?
Well, I think if it's not Shep, and it's definitely Shep, you got to look at guys like Jeff Agus, right? OG MLS player, spent some time in New York with the Metro Stars, with the league for many years. Kobe Jones isn't Jewish, is he? But yeah, I mean, you never know. You never know when we're going to turn up. Andrew Shue, does he count? I'm not sure.
And it's very interesting because like you came into the league. You're an MLS original fan, and I want to get to that in a minute. But like for me, like the Jewish athletes growing up were like Benny Feilhaber and Kyle Beckerman, who a lot of people don't know is Jewish. What inspired you to start the podcast?
Well, in 2010, Red Bull Arena was opening, and it was the perfect time for the team to really reset in the market. Finally moving out of cavernous Giant Stadium, playing in front of 65,000 empty seats every week, to its own intimate soccer cathedral, Soccer Palace on the Passaic. A couple of friends of mine that were doing some soccer blogging and I got together and said, now is the time to start a pod. Your viewers may know this league doesn't get a whole lot of mainstream media press. And in the New York area, it's practically invisible. And so we started a weekly show in between the games to give fans of the team something to hang on to, something to tide them through the week.
So this is the Passover edition of the show, and I wanted to tie in Passover and MLS. And one of the biggest things that happened in the story of Passover was that God sent down 10 plagues to the Egyptians to tell them, hey, gotta let them people go. Anyways, we're going to do our 10 plagues of MLS. These are team-specific, they're player-specific, but things that just do not go together or do go together that are so annoying. Mark, I'm going to have you kick it off with the first one, a team you're familiar with.
Yeah, I got to start with my New York Red Bulls' 26-year plague of not winning MLS Cup. They've only reached the final once in their entire history. They've made the playoffs for 11 straight years, but they just can't get over the hump, get into the game, and then win the goddamn thing.
Speaking of MLS Cup failures, it's a good segue into my first one. New England, a plague of MLS Cup failures. You know, they've been to the MLS Cup 5 times. They won it 0 times. Any memories of New England you have from your time as a Red Bull?
Yeah, I mean, I've got tons of friends who are Revs fans, and in the beginning of their plague of MLS Cup failures, I can't say I was rooting for them, but by their last one, it was like, please, just let them get one of these.
We're going to keep it on the East Coast and in your city for your second one, but third plague.
Poor NYCFC, a plague of homelessness. This team, which is supposed to be the team of the city, has played in East Hartford, Connecticut. Half of their games in 2021 will be in New Jersey, which, if you're a true city fan, has to hurt deep down inside.
On to number 4, Orlando, the plague of Josef Martinez. They got a year off of him. They did very well, but he is back, and there is no man in this league that dominates a club like Josef Martinez dominates Orlando. And he even speaks to the media about it, says the father is back. And I feel bad for Orlando here.
Listen, they picked up their game big time. Maybe with Atlanta, with Josef healthy last year, that Orlando doesn't have as good a season. But yeah, when you own another team, it's tough.
We're going to keep staying on the Eastern Conference. I guess all the Eastern Conference teams are just plagued. But a team that definitely looked plagued in that first round of the playoffs last season, the Philadelphia Union.
Philadelphia Union has a plague of neighboring teams that aren't their rivals. Philadelphia desperately wants to feel that pang of rivalry anytime they face DC United or anytime they face the Red Bulls. But those two OG teams really want nothing to do with them. And as much as Philadelphia fans may insist that the Red Bulls or DC are their rivals, those OG teams just really couldn't give them the time of day. Congrats on a great season, though. Let's see if you can do it again.
I mean, unfortunately, I wasn't down for like the peak of it, but I've gone back through history and like the Red Bull DC United rivalry, that's deep. That is very deep. And I think a lot of the newer fans just assume the Hudson River Derby is the Red Bulls' biggest. Staying on the Eastern Conference, Chicago Fire, a plague with fan problems with ownership. It started with the Houtmans. Now it's on to the new owners. They're just never satisfied with the ownership, and I don't blame them.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Mansueto has some work to do, right? Coming in, completely blowing up one of the iconic marks in league, in the entire league with the Chicago crest to something that I think was created on MS Paint, where a bunch of marketing gurus were paid far too much to come up with something really simple. Good on them for understanding and realizing that they really messed up here. They've reached out to the fans for input on building a new crest, which I think for most of us hope looks really, really close to what the old crest looks like. Look, they're going to get it right. They've been in the wilderness for some time, maybe not 40 years in the desert, but this is one of those teams that is from back in the 90s, a traditionally strong club. And the cupboard's been bare there for a really long time.
On to number 7, another Eastern Conference one. Mark, Atlanta United.
You know, it used to be that Seattle fans were the most insufferable in the league due to all the success they have. Some could argue maybe the Toronto fans are edging up there, but right now, if you're talking about insufferable fans, it has to be Atlanta United, who believe that the league was really created in 2017 when they entered. Nevertheless, 2020 was really good for Atlanta to be kicked in the teeth for once, because I think it brought a whole lot of humility to that fan base. And as we talked about earlier with Josef Martinez back and a new coach in Gabriel Hines, I'd expect maybe a return to their strong, possibly even division-leading play.
No, I feel that. You're not on Instagram, but it is bad on Instagram. I'm sure you could begin to imagine. There are some great Atlanta fans out there.
Yes.
Number 8, our lone player on our 10 plagues. I felt the need to put this one because this is one of my idols growing up. Nick Rimando, the greatest MLS goalkeeper of all time, never won a goalkeeper of the year. What?
Yeah, it's baffling. I mean, when you think about the great goalkeepers in this league, you know, going all the way back to Tim Howard to the current day, you know, Stefan Fry or Tim Melia or Matt Turner up in New England had such a phenomenal year last year. But Nick Rimando did it longer than anyone else, did it better than anyone else, was a master at stopping penalty kicks. It's inconceivable that he never was the number one guy for anyone's season.
We're going to stay in the Rocky Mountain region for your last one, Colorado Rapids.
I mean, listen, this is a team that's an OG team. They actually have an MLS Cup win in 2010 when former Red Bull Maku Makanji broke his leg scoring in extra time in Toronto in front of friends and family during a snowstorm. But other than that, I don't know who this team is. They've never put, and I really, really respect Robin Fraser, former Red Bulls coach, but they don't have any personality. I don't know who they are. I don't know what it is to play the Colorado Rapids. They're there. They draw mediocre crowds to their lovely but small stadium in suburban Denver. I just don't know I don't feel anything about them. They're just present. They're playing games, but show me something. Be a team that we know and we even fear. There's just nothing there.
It's very unfortunate. We're going to stick with an MLS original squad that is just kind of fading away as well in terms of their relevance in the league, unfortunately. It's the LA Galaxy, and they have a plague of signing aging stars. It's just how they've dealt with the changing game of MLS. They've stuck to, we're going to sign big names. And even when they're not signing the biggest of stars, like this offseason, their reinforcements Victor Vasquez, a 34-year-old who was once a star for Toronto FC, took a few years off from the league, and now he's back. It's just not great for the Galaxy. They haven't adjusted to the new salary cap rules over the past 5 years, the targeted allocation money. It's been tough to see.
Yeah, I mean, this is the proudest franchise of them all, right? This is the 5-time champion. I guess in a post-Zlatan, team, they have stood still while the shiny new toy in the market, LAFC, central location, gleaming stadium, and while the Galaxy had to share their stadium with the Chargers. As we talked about through this whole show, Eli, another OG team that's kind of lost its way. Got to find a way to be relevant in your market and got to find a way to be relevant across the league.
But that's going to wrap it up for our time. Mark, thank you so much for coming on the show. Is there anything you want to plug? Where can they find your podcast?
Yeah, sure, man. So our weekly pod, the Seeing Red podcast, covers the New York Red Bulls every single week during the MLS season. You can find it at Seeing Red NY on Twitter or Facebook. Anywhere you get your pods, just search for Seeing Red. Search for Seeing Red Soccer. You'll get there faster. And Eli, I wish you all the best with This Week in MLS. I'm really excited to see where this goes. And happy Passover.
Yes, Hag Sameach, happy Passover. And just around the corner, we have Daniel Steres of the LA Galaxy. He'll tell us what being a Jewish athlete means to him. We'll see you guys after the break. Welcome back to this special edition of the This Week in MLS show. We got the Passover edition, and we got Jewish athlete Daniel Steres, aka my 15th cousin twice removed. Daniel, how are you doing, man?
Doing excellent. How are you? You seem to be doing good. So
always energized and happy to be doing this show. But I wanted to bring you on because obviously Passover starts this weekend. It is a big Jewish holiday where we talk about Moses and the Jewish people fleeing Egypt to go to the land of Israel. But I just want to start with your childhood. Growing up, did Judaism play a role in your life?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not Orthodox or overly religious, but I do have a big family that is kept in touch, and we have passed on tradition, passed on rituals, things like that. And so one of them obviously is Passover. It was always a big family get together for me, one side or both sides of my family. And we'd go over some of the things you were talking about. We'd do the Seder, we'd do the whole thing and go through it all. And some good memories for me. As
a kid, did you have any Jewish athletes that you looked up to?
I guess off the top of my head, you think Jewish athlete like Sandy Koufax comes to mind, just on sort of some of the things he did in the grand scale of, was it World Series? I think it was. Yeah. I've followed some of the soccer players that have been in MLS or other places that have Jewish backgrounds. I've kept in touch with that a little bit, but I guess not really anyone in particular.
I know you're a Tottenham fan, and I want to bring up, because they're kind of tied as like the Jewish club of the EPL. Did that play any factor in you becoming a Tottenham fan?
Yeah, I get that sometimes, and I've heard that. That's not the main reason why, although I'm happy to support a guy like that who's heading up that club and was doing really well for a while here. This year, not so much. But no, I just kind of started liking him. I went over to England when I was younger, playing club, and was lucky enough to go to a couple Tottenham games, as well as kind of hang out in the streets, the pubs, watch a game outside of the stadium as well. And for me, as like a 13-year-old or whatever I was, it was just a cool experience to be kind of a fan, like a local there. And so I just caught on with that. Also didn't really want to root for the top dogs at the time, so it was kind of a cool thing to root for the up-and-coming team.
Did that experience kind of give you the idea like, hey, I want to be a professional soccer player? Or did you always have that?
Yeah, I think I had a drive to – I played all sports and kind of narrowed it down to soccer when I was like 11. So I think I knew I wanted to try and see where I could go with it. Going into that environment, though, for sure, you walk into an academy. I went to Fulham. I saw West Ham, some of those other ones out there, and it's a mind-blowing experience to see, the kids my age or just a little bit older. They're on the brink of this is what you're going to do forever, or this is it, and you go on to a different career. So it definitely refocused me, made me kind of want it a little bit more, being that close to it. I think it helped me out going into my later high school years, on to college. And
speaking a little about the club stuff, or just like youth soccer in general, you know, the World Cup's overrated compared to the Maccabi Games. I know you're a 3-time champion at the Maccabi Games. Can you just tell me a bit about your experience playing in them?
Yeah, definitely overrated. The Maccabi Games, way up there. No, that's cool. It was a fun experience. Those were the junior Maccabi Games that I was a part of. I wasn't, unfortunately, I never took part in the full Maccabi Games, which I guess I could have at some point, and who knows, might do something down the road. But it was fun. It was just a lot of my friends, a lot of guys on my team, meeting a bunch of other Jewish kids across the country. So it was kind of a connection thing, and it was just cool to be a part of. And obviously winning it makes it more fun. SoCal team, LA team was always one of the better ones.
Was there anyone you faced in those tournaments that are now professional soccer players?
I don't know. I'd have to do some research on that. Our team was well, like, much better than most of the teams. I mean, we played England and I forget what other country. I think we won like 6-0 or something like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of those guys didn't make it. But yeah, there could have been someone that popped out of it.
Love that you were the dominant team. I just want to quickly ask a couple more Jewish questions. What was your favorite Jewish holiday growing up?
I mean, I enjoyed Passover just because the big get-togethers and stuff. Hanukkah, we didn't go as big as, you know, Christmas or whatnot, but I'd go to a different relative's house probably 3-4 nights of Hanukkah, so that was always enjoyable. Those are probably two of the ones that stand out the most.
For sure. And you mentioned Passover. I just want to know, do you observe Passover? For those out there, when I say observe Passover, I mean holding off on bread and wheat for the week.
I used to when I was a kid. I try to, and have tried to as I've gotten older here. Obviously, it conflicts sometimes. I mean, this weekend we have a scrimmage, a match, so sometimes it conflicts. I try to do as best as I can. Yeah, and when I can, when there's opportunities to, I'll have some matzah instead of bread or whatever it might be. So
this is going to be kind of an odd question, but when you think of the story of Passover, Moses kind of defied all odds, and this is a lot of just Jewish stories in general. You think of the Maccabees and all of that. Is there a moment in your career where you really defied the odds and made it to the next level, or passed something that you weren't necessarily going to pass?
My actual debut was probably that moment for me, and I actually got very lucky with my debut. We had a couple games. We played one in Santos, against Santos Laguna, like a week before our home opener, and had some injuries, and I wasn't expecting to start or anything like that, and got the call up in 2016 to start our first match, and just had to take that opportunity. And for me, that was a pretty big moment that I get to finally step onto this field. I've been, you know, trying for since, what was it, 2012, and now it's 2016. So 4 years later, I finally get to get on an MLS pitch. So that was probably the biggest breakthrough, sort of impossibility moment for me.
And not only did you start in that match, you scored.
Yeah.
Against United, who were a good team at the time.
Yeah, no, that's something that's burned in my head forever. I'll never forget that match. Yeah, scoring your debut, getting the win at home, hearing that crowd, that was exciting. That was fun.
So looking at the Galaxy roster now, behind Sebastian Lletget, you are the longest tenured player on the Galaxy, and if you count your time with Los Dos, you are the longest tenured. Why do you think they've kept you around for so long? My guess is the fact that oftentimes you've been the best scorer on the team, but what do you think has made you a standout player for so long?
Yeah, I mean, it's always like Ibra and then me in the charts of scoring much. Yeah. No, I mean, I pride myself. I'm not anything super flashy. I kind of just pride myself on consistency. And so hopefully that's being seen by everyone, that I'm always there, always available, always giving it everything I got on the field. So I just try to keep my game as good as possible. And I guess it's working for now. We've had some years that we're not too happy about. So we want to move on into another cycle here, which I think we're looking forward to do this year. But yeah, I mean, it's been cool to be a part of your hometown club for that long. Stay local here in LA.
No, absolutely. and I'm not going to talk about 2020. We want to move on from that, but I do want to know, what's the energy like this season given last season? Like, what is it around the club that's changed, or is there a different feel going on?
Yeah, I mean, huge shift in energy, kind of obviously down here across the board for a lot of people, not just us or Galaxy, whatever, but yeah, really not a good energy, not a good environment last year. The new coaching staff, I've said it multiple times to anyone who's asked, it just feels night and day with how things are going. I think there's optimism, there's energy with the players, with the organization, hopefully with the fans as well. I know the coaching staff has it, and all the players that are here now or still coming in, there's just a lot more excitement. I think there's going to be like an identity. I think we're going to look at playing a different style that hopefully the fans will like and will work on the field. So there's a lot of positives coming out of this preseason so far.
And you mentioned the coaching staff a lot. I obviously want to point at Greg Vanney. What has it been like playing under him so far? What are some of the things you've learned from him?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, short period of time so far already, but you can see he's just got a structure, a style. He knows what he wants to do. He tries to make it as simple and clear as he can, whether it's for me, a guy who's been playing for 6-7 years here, or a guy who's just stepped in for his first season with the Galaxy. So we're all trying to get on board, all trying to think the same way, play the same way, and that's kind of what it's been so far. It's been positive, it's been good. So we'll see. We'll get a few more games in us here, and season's right around the corner. So we'll see how it goes.
They want to know about Chicharito. Have you noticed any changes in 2021 with him?
Yeah, I mean, he, like I said, like everyone else, had a tough year last year. A lot of that was the energy and environment and the way we played. It didn't help him. We couldn't get the ball to him in good spots to help him become the scorer that he always has been in his career. So it was definitely a little bit of that. He had some injuries last year that were brought upon him by the way the year went. It just happened, So yeah, I think he really took some time this offseason to make sure he got his body right first. And he's bringing a lot of energy every day and scoring and training and all this stuff. So I think the way we play this year will benefit him a little more, and we'll see kind of the old Chicharito we're all used to seeing. But no, he's excited and he's ready to go. Same sort of positive energy as I was speaking of before.
Awesome. Well, that's all I have for you. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. It truly means a lot, and I cannot wait to see what you do this season. Always find a way to remain in that starting lineup, and I'm expecting the same this season.
Don't want to plug anything, just for all the fans, your fans, our Galaxy fans out there, excited to see everyone. Hopefully we'll get to see as many of you as we can at the stadium this year. I know it's going to start kind of slow and maybe build up to more people, but really looking forward to seeing everyone back in the stands, home, away, whatever it is. So excited for that this year.
Hoping that I could get some tickets when I'm back in town. Anyways, that's going to wrap up episode 5, the Passover edition of the This Week in MLS show. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, do whatever. I don't even care. Anyways, I'm MLS of This Week in MLS, and I'll see you guys next week. Ricochet is the GOAT. Ricochet is the GOAT. Ricochet is the GOAT. Ricochet is the GOAT. So. I'll see you guys in the next video.